call meeting of the Park City Board of Education today, Tuesday, November 19th at 3:33 p.m. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will entertain a motion to move into closed session to discuss personnel and property.
I make a motion to move into closed session for the reasons stated.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Going to close. We'll continue our meeting. I will entertain a motion to approve our regular session minutes of October 24th, hearing minutes of November 12th, travel requests, audit report, personnel report, check registers of October 2024, and board revenue and expenditures of October 2020.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated.
Okay, do we have any discussion on these 8 items? No? Okay.
No. No,
And
none.
Please.
bless you.
All
Bless
right, that
you.
was Kira. That was Kira. She wants to answer for me.
Bless you, Kira. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We will go into employee group reports. Welcome.
Good evening. On behalf of PCA, I just wanted to say thank you to the outgoing board members for your service. Serving on the board can be a challenging job, often thankless, tense, underpaid, and demanding in many, many ways. Regardless of circumstances, please know your dedication and hard work are truly appreciated. PCA also wants to thank you for your continued commitment to listening and working toward the betterment of all employees. As we move into a period of unprecedented change, PCA requests the board's support in advocating for teachers and helping us navigate these challenges together. We value the strong relationship we have with the district and look forward to building upon it. As we face upcoming changes, PCA approaches the realignment with some concern and asks for more communication to help ease the anxiety felt across all school levels. And finally, we encourage everyone to get involved in their communities and help strengthen the civic duty we all share. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Student on the board. Oh, sorry, apologies. No, come on up. Sorry.
You guys aren't used to seeing me.
No.
Rich is driving
They
the
let
bus.
you out of the bus depot?
They let me out of the bus for a few minutes. Our wonderful Jen Bramson is in New Jersey. Getting to do some really cool things there, and then she's getting to work with the president of NEA tomorrow for something that I'm gonna talk to you guys just a little bit about. I'm super excited that I actually do get to talk to you because tomorrow is a really special day for us. Tomorrow is National ESP Day. And no, I'm not talking about the extra sensory perception that we all seem to gather the more we get to work with our students. We're talking about our educational support professionals. There are a lot of new faces in the room, and I just want to take just a quick second to talk about what ESPs are and what we stand for. We used to be called classified individuals, and I thought that was kind of fitting because there are so many classifications of employees that work under our genre. We are now ESPs, and I think that it is more fitting that we fall under that professional category because of the roles that we play. I think it's apparent that we consider ourselves professionals because of things like Our ESP is requesting additional, professional development opportunities, that we've negotiated in the past, and now they're like, hey, we have these hours, we want those opportunities, we wanna learn more, we wanna better our skills. They are looking for, we're working with Caleb, and, Mr. Jensen to, better the language around our evaluation processes. Because we want that constructive feedback. We want to know what we're doing right, what we can work on, and how we can better serve our students and our staff. So, we are professionals, we're proud of that, and, we're looking forward to continuing in that light. I just wanted to shed a quick brag out on, some of our ESPs that work in our district. This morning, when we made it into our schools, because our maintenance workers and our custodians worked so hard to shovel all that snow and throw the salt down and the sand down so that we could safely get in. Those are your ESPs. The bus drivers that went and picked up our kids, it took me 3 times to get up in the Summit Park today, 3 different tries, put my chains down, but I made it up there. I am one of your ESP workers. I'm one of the ones that is very proud and take it very seriously that I pick up your students and get them to and from school safely. If you think about, your clerical staff that greets them with a smile in the morning and is the interface between your parents in buildings and your staff here at the DL that takes care of the endless paperwork, the unsung heroes that help keep our district running, right? Those are your ESP staff. If you think about the mechanics and the other skilled laborers that keep our buses running and keep, our lawnmowers running and our forklifts running, those are your ESP staff. If you think about the food service workers that are producing, safe and healthy nutrition for our students so that they can learn, those are your ESP staff. If you think about the, I already talked about the custodians, the paraeducators, oh my gosh, they are teaching our students, they are your outreach coordinators, they are your, some of your behavioral techs, they are your bilingual specialists. Those are all your ESP workers. So, our IT staff, how dare I? Our IT staff that keeps us safe on that level and it keeps us communicating with each other effectively and efficiently. Those are your ESP staff. Health and service workers and security workers also technically fall under ESP staff. Ours are kind of a little different here in Park City, but obviously shout out to them as well because they are workers throughout the state that are also ESP staff. So, obviously I'm a little biased, but we're pretty important and we take what we do very seriously and we are very dedicated employees and, I'm very proud to be one and I'm very excited that we get to celebrate all of us tomorrow. So thank you for a moment. Yeah, we look forward to the continued year and
Thank you. Back to Paula.
Well, as of right now, we don't have a huge update. Our Souls for Souls, donations are ending this week. But just as a reminder, it helps get shoes and clothing to people in crisis situations and children in need across the country to free up financial resources for other needs. So if you have students, I would really encourage them to donate by the end of this week. There's boxes all throughout the schools and the community. And we also have Susan for the musical this week, and we have talent show trials. And that's it.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here.
Hello, I have 2 things to update the board about tonight. One is about standard-based report card for 4th and 5th grade, and the second one is about AI. So on the board I've given you on the front sheet, if you look at the brightly colored side first, up on the screen, you would see just a place that points out what the new 4th and 5th common report card looks like. It will have its first release on November 25th. You can see that this one is redacted. It has student information, it has academic scale, the scores, a behavior scale, behavior scores, teacher comments on it. And what I wanted to share with you is kind of the process that has happened and why this was something that needed to, that we're proud of. There we go. Okay. So a few years ago, there was an intent to have standards-based learning and a standards-based report card. If you've had students at Ecker, you know that they have a standards-based report card. But we had different report cards in every school and grade level here in Park City, and we wanted to unify those. So prior to 23 and 24, teachers had been collaborating to see what could be done to make this be more streamlined and match the USBE standards. Last year, the teams continued to work on that, including the elementary specialists. And for this year, the new elementary report card was developed in Power School. The training's been provided on using gradebook to store grades, and there's been outreach and coaching for parents because it'll look a little different because it now is unified. So we're happy to report that that project is moving forward. Eventually, the specialist ones will come on board, and eventually we'll look at K3, but right now, 4th and 5th, we're happy to report that project is moving forward, and families will see those report cards now. The second thing I wanted to share with you is about artificial intelligence. We've received a few queries about, are we paying attention? Are we aware that this is coming up? So I thought I would share with you and let you know what's going on. So we have a 3-year plan. Last year, we implemented creating some teacher guidance that is teacher facing and that teachers see in their summer trainings. And this year we'll make sure that they have more familiarity with the teacher facing guidelines. If you turn your report card paper that I gave you over, you will see the teacher facing guidelines that have been developed. We work with our district teams, we work with USBE, and we want to now start working on assistance for some parent-facing guidelines this year because a lot of parents are trying to figure out how they work in this world with their own students. And we will have additional professional learning that goes on this spring. Part of it will happen on the day when we have our next professional development day on March 14th. As well as being integrated into other areas. And then next year for year 3, we will continue the work. We will work on with USBE on integrating appropriate AI. It's developing as fast as we can keep up with it, but we are watching, paying attention, and we'll make sure it's embedded appropriately, meaning guardrails, guidelines, for appropriate use, but it won't be available for student use until parents have been consulted, the correct tools are identified. Right now, teachers are using some AI, particularly in dual language immersion for translation and differentiation to help give more students more access to more things. So we're working on staying current and making sure that we keep our students safe, but also prepare them for the world that's coming. So that's my update. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Operations update for the 19th of November 2024. I want to echo Max's comments in regard with the ESPs and working with a lot of the folks in the operation world. I can't be more proud of what's going on in buildings and grounds and transportation, food service, and all those people knocking out the park for us. So thank you so much to them in the, recognition is well deserved. From the buildings and grounds perspective, our snow removal equipment, our vendor contracts and salt supplier are ready for winter, and luckily they are because it's here. Our boiler controls issues with Carrier have been worked through by the operations, and we've been experiencing challenges with that vendor in getting controls of our heat and in Eckerd High School mostly, but even in some of the other schools. And we're working through those issues as quick as we can. We've got manual control, and we're slowly moving ourselves back towards total laptop control of those machines. We're continuing to release an RFP and do a study for the unreinforced masonry in the district. And that will begin this month with FY 25 capital outlay allocated funds. As you folks in Utah are aware, we sit on a fault line. Many buildings, educational buildings throughout the state do not have reinforced masonry. Luckily, we're blessed here. Park City, most of our buildings are pretty modern. So our potential impact is much less, but we still have to study it and look what it will cost for some mitigation efforts. A permanent outfield fence has been installed at the women's baseball, women's softball diamond at the high school. A CUP package supporting phases 1, 2, and 4 of the master athletic facility plan is nearing completion. And the FY 26 capital outlay budgeting process is beginning. In transportation, our driver counts continue to be a bit of a challenge. We'll get 3 substitutes who are helping us address scheduling polls. Transportation is working to support more athletic trips with the pool of drivers and subs becoming healthier. It helps us reduce our charter costs. Winter readiness checks were performed on all of our buses and white fleet vehicles. All Space A riders were accommodated this year. Transportation ordered 2 new EV buses and chargers. Those will be delivered after the 1st of July of 2025 in next fiscal year. And Rich would like to thank the board for its continued support, great equipment, and for the support in purchasing EV vehicles. Child nutrition services thought they were full with personnel, and one person did report to work. So we're back to the drawing board, but luckily we have a decent pool of candidates that they can select from and interview from. Composting efforts are gaining steam, particularly at Eckerd Middle School. The green team is working with John there at Eckerd, and they're composting all of the trays, the serviceware, the baskets used to hold the food, and we're hopefully getting to a point where we can do utensils there too. So great work with the students and John. John's busy implementing the school year 26 USDA regulations, primarily reducing added sugars and lowering sodium content, and reworking their scratch recipes over the year to meet the new standards ahead of the implementation date. Human resources really has nothing to report other than the fact that human resources and finance are presenting explanatory briefs on the PTO pilot program on site to employee groups as requested, and it's been well received. Security. The Summit County Sheriff's Office is advocating for 4 Park City School District SROs in the county calendar year 25 budget, which starts January 1st of this year, with a 50-50 split to Park City. Park City Police Department is also advocating for 1 new Park City Police Department SRO in the Park City Municipal FY 26 budget, which starts on July 1st, again with 50-50 split for Park City. A new replacement dean, school safety specialist, and hired for Park City High School will start on the 2nd of December. House Bill 84 mandated security-based school needs assessment had all been submitted in advance of the 31 December deadline. State mandated safe route to school plans are being updated by the school safety specialists at all of our K-8 schools. Operations is assembling a team from Park City School District, Park City Police Department, Park City Transportation, and the School District Transportation Department to address Park City High School bus exit issues out on the Currents Boulevard. New House Bill 84 required school security safety specialist deans are continuing to receive training from Mike and Carolyn throughout the month. Ballistic film is being installed in the interior glass classrooms at both Eckerd and the high school in the new wings. Radio coverage issues are still being worked through at Eckerd, Parley's and Trailside to enhance the coverage there. And we had the drug dogs visit our campus, the high school in February last week. We had no hits. And we actually used our agent system to put a live hold to exercise that system for our staff members, and they want to know. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions for Mike? I'd just like to say, on behalf of the board, thank you for your service to this district over the last 5 years. There was an article published today in the Park Record, which contains factually incorrect information. The district will be addressing that in due course. But for this audience and for people who are listening or looking at notes of this afterwards, Mike Tanner has been a great employee of this district. He has implemented safety protocols that, taken us from basically 0 to 100, without getting into details. But when he was brought on, one of his key responsibilities was security. And I think, we all as a community owe him some thanks for keeping our kids safe and our employees safe. In addition, he's helped us oversee an incredibly large capital project, which had many, many unforeseen issues with permits, and soil, and all kinds of things, which Mike inherited and managed contractors, et cetera. And I think he's done a great job with that. We're still in budget, maybe a little bit behind schedule, but in the scheme of things, trying to build in this type of environment with, crazy costs and staffing issues, I think it's been a great job. So, I'd just like to say thank you. We are, we're supportive of you, as we are supportive of all of our employees. I'd like to add that Lori Pierce, who's here and has been with the district for 28 years, is also named in this article. And it's, it's terrible, right? We have people who work overtime, who give their entire careers to the children of this community, and people under the guise of journalism feel that it's appropriate to take personal attacks at them. And I think we're better than that as a community. We should be better than that. And it's on all of us as a community to question and, to hold everyone accountable, especially us as board members and people who run the district. But our employees, if there's issues with employees, you come to us, you come to the superintendent. You don't attack them online. You don't try to run people out of town. It's not what happens. It's not what should happen in a town like this. So I apologize to you, Mike and Lori, that you guys have to go through this when you dedicate so much to our kids. But thank you for your service. And Mike, I would add thank you for your service to our country. To have that service called into question as inappropriate is disgusting to me, especially on the week of Veterans Day. And that person should be ashamed, and this community should be ashamed that we're attacking our soldiers for serving this country. And that is especially offensive to me. So thank you for your service to our country and to this district. And if anyone has issues with Mike Tanner or Lori, they can speak to me, but enough is enough. Thank you. We can see a show of hands. How many people are here for the athletic planning? Okay, so we're gonna do is we're gonna skip ahead and delay your superintendent report as well as a couple other decision items. I'm gonna open it for public comment. Before I do that, I want to say a couple things because I know that a lot of you have similar questions. And especially regarding the diagram that's out there on phase 3 for Lucky John and how it looks that there's going to be an exit onto Lucky John and new parking there. So one of the things that was discussed, and we'll get into the presentation in a second, on what phases are going to happen and what are not. The one that is not happening is a massive indoor project, as well as a reworking of the parking lot situation and an exit onto Lucky John. We know that that is a controversial thing. That was never something that the board had discussed doing. We don't plan on doing it. There are no plans to do it. There are no current architectural ideas to do that. So anyone who is here concerned about that and traffic implications in Park Meadows and specific to Lucky John, that is not on the table. So you're welcome to speak to that, but we could also save time and know that that is not what we're discussing. With that, Steve Swanson.
Steve Swanson, I'm a business owner, a Holiday Ranch neighbor, and a step-grandparent of 2 high school athletes in the district. So I'm very excited about the overall plan. The AAPC sports, you know, we're doing great. Apparently, everybody and you guys are all behind it. Thank you again. Believe we can do better, and I applaud that. The plan phasing seemed, although they're still sketch based to me, they appear to have some cohesion and use parts of the campus appropriately with the demolished treasure. I think there's still some major questions. I'm not here to speak on phases 1, 2, and 4, but I would be happy to see, as others may have spoken before, I would have loved to have seen a pool in this project for personal reasons, and I think it's a good thing to have. We had one at our high school. But as to phase 3, we've talked about the cut through. We know potentially that the things that can happen there. Vehicle access should be considered, and you should really be talking. I get the sense that, I'm not sure, but the consultants are working a bit of a vacuum. Maybe they need to spend more time up here as they flesh out this plan. But it, you know, it looks decent. But one thing I did want to maybe bring up that you can think about in your future boards, and you're going to be addressing some of these issues, is this internal circulation. I see evidence of vehicular circulation going basically east and west, and that makes sense in some ways. Parking pods connected, not having to drive on currents. I think there's some good logic behind that. What I would say is that let's think about our future and our health of our students, their safety and security, and develop safe walking paths and safe alternative transportation options. And maybe the students could even be involved in this. I would love to see something like that. Paths, we were recently invited to see Waterford for one of our grandsons attending there. They had a special day for grandparents. They took us around in little golf carts, and they have a big campus. It's spacious. They're separated. Kids can't always walk. They don't take these. They walk actually. But for us, it was nice to have the option. I'm sorry.
I think the timer went off.
Oh, thank you. No, I'll wrap up. So I think I've covered everything. Driving, student health, really think about safety, security. My high school was completely fenced. I know that's not a popular, but we knew it was secure. We had an officer in front, fences in the back, with blockades. So,
Yeah, I'd encourage you afterwards to talk to Mr. Tanner about some of the things we put in place.
thank you.
You definitely value that. Thank you. Debbie Matamoros, apologies. Speaking on pickleball?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Debbie Matamoros. I'm on the board for the Park City Pickleball Club. And we would just like to encourage you to consider adding pickleball courts as well to that athletic facility. Pickleball is the #1 growing sport in America today, and especially by young people. Any evening, if you went to Willow Creek Park in the summer, you would see families playing together, 6- and 7-year-olds playing with their mom and dad, groups of high schoolers out there playing. It may not currently be a high school sport, but I think that's not too far in the future. There are collegiate teams that travel for national tournaments. Utah Tech just won a tournament and we got a $16,000 scholarship. So it is there for the kids, and if we can get ahead of the game and get those courts installed now, that would be really beneficial for Park City.
Yeah, thanks. I believe there is, pickleball courts as well as tennis courts planned. So there's gonna be some tennis courts above the turf fields, that should be able to be used for pickleball. And I think, there could be a conversation with your group about potentially covering those in the winter.
Oh, that would be awesome.
With maybe a public-private partnership. May also be supported by our constituents from Lucky John with regards to noise. So.
All right,
Thank you very
great.
much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ken Salkin on traffic and parking on Lucky John. And again, we're not providing access out of the Kearns campus to Lucky John.
Sure, I'll be brief. I just want to thank the board. My understanding is that you've taken that off the table, and I think as just a homeowner in that area, it's appreciative. What I would say is for any future projects also, this is a great neighborhood, and those residents care about circulation, traffic, pollution, safety. And again, just thank you very much for my understanding that you're taking that off the table. Thank you.
Jess McCurdy on athletic master.
Well, I was hoping to be able to speak after. However, I'm here, my husband spoke last board meeting and here representing those of us that have kids that play in sanctioned sports already at the high school. That we are here to support you. I think we've talked about that numerous times, but having 4 boys that are part of Park City High School, 3 that have graduated, 1 that is a freshman. This is near and dear to my heart and the people here in this room that are representing all the teams that we've come together. So we're here to support you in anything that we can do to make this project happen. So we're not here to fight it. We're not here to argue with you. We're just here to be advocates, and anything that we can do to help this be voted on tonight, but also to see it happen and come to fruition. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Access.
Thank you. My name is Catherine Fagan. My daughter graduated from high school here.
Nice.
And she still comes back and visits a lot. I am a board member on the Holiday Ranch Homeowners Association. And I very much appreciate that the issue of access to Lucky John has been set aside. That is a great relief to many of us in this community. There were 2 aspects of it though that I wanted to raise because I haven't heard it yet. One of them is I am so curious to understand what the rationale is for adding 300 to 400 parking spots for the complex. It seems that certainly in Park City and the community and the county, we are trying to work on getting away from car congestion. And of course, the students here are very aware of climate issues and the importance of good quality air. It seems that if we can really look into alternatives rather than providing additional parking, so that people, the students, and I don't know about staff, but certainly the students, the young adults who are lovely and very excited about getting their permits and wanting to drive, that maybe there would be a way to get messaging to them that we're not trying to make it easy to bring so many more cars into the high school. Certainly the students are aware of the climate and environmental issues. And I would urge the people involved in the decision making to try to think about the wisdom of just opening up hundreds more parking spots. I love the idea of golf carts. That's awesome. As you know, our concern is Lucky John and Holiday Ranch and Monitor are very narrow roads. We do have 2 active buses that have a hard time sometimes making it across those narrow spots. We also have wonderful wildlife. We have deer who wander all over our roads in our neighborhood. We just want to keep them safe. We want to keep the children safe. Lucky John doesn't have paths as you turn northbound towards Little Cape. We just want safety and security for the community, and especially for our precious students. There was one other comment I wanted to make that didn't come up yet, was the concept of adding the concessions areas. And we would be delighted if there was a way to find a different location for that concession plan to move it more into the footprint of the complex rather than putting it on the north edge, which is at Lucky John, is to try to make it maybe more central and to respect the homeowners who are in Lucky John, to try to keep that more buffered. Those are my comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lou Siegel.
Blue Eagle Holiday Ranch owner, and my concern was the traffic, and apparently we've mitigated that already. I would just like there to be notes in the records that right now there are no plans, and that to make sure that there are adequate, notification of that change.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, in the interest of all of these folks who are here, we're gonna skip to 5.04 athletic facility improvement baseline decision. So after reviewing the athletic facilities plan in October, the board will now make a motion to approve certain phases of the plan. That includes phases 1, 2, and 4. Brandon, do you wanna walk us through that? Is this your presentation?
Mike had a put together. Yeah, we collaborated that. We collaborated. But I can't read that small print.
I can't read it either.
But that's just the details, but the law.
Okay. Okay, so the scope for everyone is 1 turf baseball and 1 turf softball field, support facility and bleachers, 8 tennis courts / pickleball. Treasure Mountain demolition and parking improvements at Treasure. 2 turf soccer and lacrosse fields at the Treasure site. And then Dozier track and turf replacement, concession restroom, locker room building. The total cost is $38 million, funded by lease revenue bonds. Those will be financed over 20 years. Our estimated annual principal and interest payment is $2.5 million. They'll be funded by 2 things. First is capital outlay of $1.9 million, which is currently being used for construction. So that's current tax revenue as well as capital fund balance of $600,000, which means that there will be no new taxes to support this $38 million project. Should we go into discussions around phase 3, that will be a different community discussion and will not be voted on at this time. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve phases 1, 2, and 4 of this project.
I make a motion to approve phases 1, 2, and 4.
Second.
Okay, do we have any discussion or questions as a board on any of these?
No, I do not.
All right, seeing none, all those in favor of passing this motion, please say aye.
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 Okay, that passes. We have new fields. Is start planning now.
We started the conditional use permit
Yeah.
already, right?
The permits are in.
Yeah.
In the process, if you scroll down through, the last slide, gets the timeline, under kind of fill out. That's one slide.
Are we ready for next fall, basically, or? Some
I'm
of the stuff?
hoping to have 2 baseball fields, baseball, softball field ready for next fall, potentially the tennis courts. And Dozier track servicing and concession building next fall.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, We will go, yeah, thank you all for speaking out and being supportive. We will skip back to the superintendent report and then get into other decision items.
Yeah,
No, it's
so
all
take
right.
it personal.
I'm good. It's been a day.
We're still here for you.
It's
Caleb.
like,
I want to hear what you have to say.
good, good, I'm glad. We've got other people that are. All right, we'll get started. I think that if you go to slide 2, everything starts with our mission and vision. And it's so much fun to see it come to life in this role, which I'm grateful for. I'm incredibly grateful for our staff. And each and every person working hard in this district. I think that it's so important to realize that we have a faculty and staff in our district that's pouring into children. And we're blessed to work with kids of infinite value and immeasurable worth. And that is our charge each and every day. So our mission is to inspire and support all students equitably to achieve their academic and social potential. And we are whole child centered. Our students are safe, supported, engaged, challenged, and healthy. We got to see that come to life on the next slide in a few different ways. One of my all-time favorites, Dia de los Muertos, put on by the Latinos in Action. It was a wonderful night to see a cultural evening and a great celebration at Park City High School. It was truly a community event. We have Cafe Con Amigos that happened at McCullen. Our Veterans Day assemblies happened throughout the district, highlighted here is Edgar Hill Middle School. So in my role, the privilege of my role is I see our mission coming to life every single day. And it was a great month. If we go to the next slide, I want to talk a little bit about academic success, our pillars. And this award is incredible. And I'll try to be super quick with it, but we are the only public high school in the state that is both a platinum, which is the highest level of honor roll for AP, as well as an AP Access Award. There are 2 private schools that also have it. We are the only public high school again in the state with this award. And what that means is our kids are achieving on AP tests at a level that is elite in the state and the nation. And it means that our kids are accessing the tests. These are our underrepresented populations that in most schools and school districts across the nation are not accessing these tests. Roger, congratulations to you and your team, but this is not just a testament to Park City High School. This is K-12 education. This is a foundation that happens in our elementary schools, and our community should be proud because it doesn't happen without your kids. It doesn't happen without your support. But this is an incredible award that we should all be so proud of. And it's a model of our academic success. The other things that happen in the academic success, we go to the next slide. We had students working with our health science students at Park City High School, working at Utah Valley University during the health science fair. We had Veterans Day, not only assemblies, but our students are performing. And it is so powerful in the elementary schools to see our students have an opportunity to engage in singing and dancing and playing little mini trumpets at Parley's Park Elementary School. And that's what you see here. You see students engaging in drums at Jeremy Ranch. We have celebrations happening. We're accessing our library at Edgar Hill Middle School. So the academic success, the reason those awards happen are because of the great things we're seeing in our classroom and the strategic efforts that are being made by teaching and learning. You also see a couple classroom shots. And in our K-2 schools, we are really leaning into literacy. It is a huge pillar of ours. We believe and we know that if students are literate at the end of 3rd grade, the door is open to their future. And we're excited about the academic success, and we're much good news to report. If I move on to excellent personnel, I want to again just speak towards gratitude of our personnel. We were able to celebrate our veterans. And also I'm grateful for our staff. As Shannon pointed, we know that grade realignment, especially when you consider Treasure Mountain Junior High, which is a place near and dear to my heart, those teachers are feeling the vulnerabilities, not of not having a job, but of the new. And this is a hard change when you're part of a family. We also know that there are potential for changes and initiatives that we're trying to communicate through and be successful in. So we're grateful for PCA's feedback, and we're grateful for the teachers' patience in placement, because there are some hard placements where we haven't been able to give firm answers other than the board has secured jobs for them, which we're grateful for. But just working through a few of those nuances has been challenging, and we're thankful for that their patience. If you go to the next slide,
I need to highlight Colton Elliott, who is another one of our veterans who serves. He was recognized by the U.S. Air National Guard, and he is our PIO here. So if you go on, you'll see a post of him on the national website. We also had some of our wonderful middle school teachers and administrators at Eckerd Hill Middle School attend the AMLE conference, which is our middle level education conference. 2 of them were presenting in the conference. So we're not only are we learning in those conferences, but we're sharing some of the great work in the Park City School District. And in the corner, you see Trip Marshall. If any of you attended the Ed Foundation event, you heard Trip Marshall's name said all the time. He was like the star teacher of the show, and he's an incredible aviation teacher for our district. So what I do want to spend a little bit of time on today is talking about leadership and what we're doing with the Office of Civil Rights complaint. We have a resolution agreement that we're in. I want to give a huge shout out to Carolyn Simon, our student services, Chief Student Services Officer. She has led our initiatives of becoming compliant, and they are big lifts from mandatory reporting systems, from systematic reporting and recording of incidents that occur, ensuring Title IX compliance and training about that. That's the heart of what the resolution agreement required of us. And it's happening, and it's a huge lift. What is more exciting than that is how the posters of We All Belong and the true work is coming to life in schools, because those compliance issues, they're compliance issues, but they're not education. And we are also leaning into education within our schools. Here you see varying initiatives at our elementary schools, intentionality of kindness and language around how we can treat everyone with kindness and respect, regardless of backgrounds and beliefs. At Eckerd Hill Middle School and Treasure Mountain Junior High, they're leaning into We All Belong lessons that are directly addressing issues like racism, anti-Semitism, and all forms of hate speech and bullying. And we're not shying away from the issue. And even though the lessons may or may not be perfect, we're not afraid to say that this is something that we can do better on. We're making sure we're incredibly explicit on what is and is not tolerated and why it's truly at a core of a human level and that human belief. And that's where these We All Belong signs are truly coming to life. As we move into communication, we continue to have a team working to make sure that there is communication out to the public. That is our face and outreach team. Their primary focus is, if you go to the next slide, of the website, social media, our general media collaboration, and then the newsletter and podcast. Our alliances continue. I had a great meeting with the Park City Community Foundation today. We're excited to announce some exciting initiatives in the coming months. But in the interim, we had another wonderful community alliance time with the Park City Ed Foundation. We just thank them for their support of our schools and therefore the community and how they finance us. And as I close, I think that we're really trying to build a legacy of belonging in our district, where our DNA changes to be a place where all students know that they're safe and respected here. So as a district, this monitoring period of the Office of Civil Rights will come to an end. I think it's going to come to an end in the next year or so. I think we're meeting all of those compliance matters, but that's not the goal. The foundation we have built will remain steadfast. We're embracing this challenge and opportunity to strengthen the culture and climate within our schools, ensuring that every student feels supported, valued, and celebrated. Together, we will continue to provide the resources and environment needed for all students to thrive, because in the Park City School District, we all belong. This commitment is not just a resolution. It is the promise of who we are and what we will always strive to be. So as we continue to address that and work towards becoming a more inclusive environment, you can be assured that we're doing the work every day, explicitly teaching our children. And again, I'm incredibly proud to be a part of this school district, incredibly grateful. We've got opportunities for growth, but we're doing the right thing and we're heading in the right direction. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move to decision 5.01, Eckerd Hill Middle School mascot.
So I wanted to thank you for your time and being with us today. I'm Garrett Rose, and next to me is.
I'm Ellie Johnson. I teach eighth grade English.
And I'm the principal at Eckerd. Pam Zuko could not make it today. She was not feeling well, but we wanted to talk a little bit about the mascot change potential. So the proposal is that we want to change the middle school mascot from the Timberwolf to the Eckerd Hill minor. And as you see in that picture there, that was the day that students got to put this to a vote. And so we had Timmy the Timberwolf and Manny the Miner there. Going around school is a great opportunity for students to see what their options were. Superintendent Fine and I had gone back and forth to talk about how they're two fantastic options. And just to give a shout out, and go to the next slide. For some of the teachers, this was not an easy decision to come to where we move forward this with our realignment committee. The current mascot is the Timberwolf. That was voted on in 1997. The Eckerd Hill school colors are blue and silver, but there are a lot of teachers who literally had some of these walls built around them. And so for this shift in this proposal, this is a big thing for them. So it's more than just a mascot. We're looking at changing some of our team names and our hashtags, our mantras. So there's a lot involved with this. So it is a very big haul. But I will let Ellie talk about how we got to the rationale for change and where we want to go from here.
Okay, if we could switch slides. Thank you. So I've been really excited about this realignment committee. I was a cheerleader all 5 years of high school. My high school was 8 through 12. So I've always had a passion for school spirit, and this merge with Eckerd and Treasure has been a really exciting thing to talk about. So our goal was to create an environment at Eckerd that feels new and refreshed for all staff and students. Like mentioned earlier, it is very exciting for Treasure teachers to make the move to Eckerd, but there also is anxiety around the topic. So we want to make sure that the Treasure teachers feel comfortable, the Eckerd teachers feel comfortable, and of course the students as well entering the next school year. And we had a lot of different conversations around this, but one observation we kind of made as a group that was a collaborative meeting with Eckerd and Treasure teachers that many students don't wear the Timberwolf gear or the Eckerd Hill school colors around, whether that be in the classroom or just around the community. Many students seem to identify with the minor logo and the minor design, as many of the Park City organizations and sports teams kind of play under those colors and logo. So many students, even as a sixth grader, they kind of have the buy-in because that's what they see around the community in a general consensus. So our rationale after meeting all of last year and throughout this year is that it would make sense for Eckerd to potentially change its mascot and school colors to the Eckerd Hill Miner. So of course the name will stay the same and everything. It would just become a switch from the Timberwolf to the Miner, and then the colors would go from blue and silver to red and black. So the students feel kind of that sense of belonging in the Park City community. And I know the initiative with the high school is to just kind of bring in more school spirit in the community altogether. So we think that would serve in that process as well. And then the process for how we kind of determined what everyone else was thinking on this topic is we surveyed Eckerd Hill students and staff, and then the teachers at Treasure as well. And the consensus was, it was a little unclear between the teachers. Treasure and Eckerd were a little bit split, but the students seemed to favor the minor mascot. And since we are obviously very student driven, we really took that into account during our meetings.
And then that last step was talking about our realignment committee and bringing those data points. And Superintendent Fine led that discussion, and so it came to a vote with that realignment committee of which direction to move, and the direction would be for the proposal for this mascot change. And that means that, as Ellie stated before, that the colors and mascot will be the same. And we already, I know Torch has been working with the high school already about refresh to logos, and they'll be working with us about putting a new logo together. And again, the logos will be slightly different to distinguish the differences between the school, but we will have a secondary minor pipeline. And now we turn it over to you.
I will say I was just at a professional conference last week that I used Stronger as a Pack because I could rally and drive, but I think it's a great idea. It's a shift here.
And again, it goes back to, you know, and I do want to give credence to, you know, like Liz Thompson and Laura Root and those on the advisory committee that have put years and years and years to building that. And so it's going to be a great opportunity to build, you know, new mantras and new ideas, but definitely change sometimes can be very, very hard.
Well, thanks for being so detailed and taking the time to survey and discuss and plan and all of the things
Yeah,
you've
looks like a
done.
lot of
You
work.
put a lot of work into it. We appreciate that, not taking it lightly.
Okay, Okay,
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion, to change the Eckerd Hill mascot from Timberwolf to the Miner.
I make a motion to change the Eckerd Hill mascot to a minor.
Second.
Okay, do we have any discussion or questions for our guests?
No, I'd just like to say, I also appreciate the community focus of it as well, that we, this one mascot that we identify with in our community, and I think that consistency is important.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of changing the mascot, please say aye.
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 Okay, that passes. Next up,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Next up is open and closed school decision. Randy, would you like to walk us through that?
Yeah, so open and closed school, you've got a PowerPoint in your packet. It really boils down to school capacity. Just a reminder, school capacity is just the number of teaching stations you have and your average class size. So the next slide after that, I've got class sizes that were used. District-wide was 18.05. Elementary was 16.47. Secondary was 19.43. That's calculated based on this year's class size. What's going on there? I've got reference down, the group below is the prior year just for reference. So those are the class sizes we use in the calculation. The next slide, you're gonna see projections based on October 1 enrollments. And keep in mind, this is based on a pure survival ratio. This does not take into account any of the approved developments that have the potential of going in and creating work students in our schools. And so worst case scenario is a drop of about 100 students, which is what we've been seeing. If we were to go back and put in those kids that are potential from developments for more of a break even, probably about 15 kids down in the 26 year and then break even after that. So that's kind of where we are projection wise, the numbers we used. On this last slide, you can see we have to determine an enrollment threshold, which is taking our maximum capacity, so classrooms times our average class size. And then we can subtract 40 or take 90% of that, whichever number is lower. So what you see in the enrollment threshold is that calculation. Then the projected enrollment is basically for the previous sheet. Notice here, there's no Treasure Mountain. There's only Eckerd and Park City High School, so those numbers are a little bit larger than they've been in the past. And then you can see the result on the status. The reason you see McPullen and Jeremy Ranch open is because of those extra classrooms that were gathered because of the preschools opening, right? For those preschools, the intent is to expand those. The other two schools don't quite have the preschool open. Keep in mind that construction is a provision in the law. As you make your decision open or close, that if there's construction going on in the district, then the district can close schools to make sure they wait until that construction is done to make sure there's plenty of room for the kids that we have. The second piece of that is the reconfiguration between Treasure Eckerd and Park City High School could have an effect on that as well. So the board's open to consider that and decide what the board wants to do. We've got a couple of different options here.
Okay, great. I will entertain a motion to keep schools closed in Park City School District. And we're gonna have some discussion.
I make a motion to consider to keep schools closed in Park City schools.
Okay, do we have questions for Randy on enrollment or any discussion on this motion?
Can you just explain the closed open?
Yeah, so basically what it does is it comes up and says, hey, what's your enrollment threshold?
Yeah.
Basically, if your enrollment's greater than that number, then it automatically triggers a close. If the number is lower than that number, then it triggers an open, right? But if the law does allow us to take these other circumstances like the construction, the reconfiguration, those types of things going into it. Probably the two schools that stand out the most really is McPullen and Jeremy. I would say the high schools will lift it just because even though it shows some room there, it's not a lot of room. And we've got the reconfiguration going on. We want to make sure we have plenty of room for those kids. And you still have construction, even though we anticipate everything being done, you know, or worse things have happened. McPullen and Jeremy are really kind of the two in question. Part of that's because of those preschool classrooms. Whether they're fully utilizing those right now or not, you know, I'm not sure, but Because they had a few classrooms open where they used to have a preschool, so that's why you're seeing the difference there.
And we can make a decision at a school level. So we could have Harley's closed and McCollum open sources.
So, no,
Yeah.
You can,
yeah, you can do school by school.
but the thing to remember is we're opening up preschool for the first time, so I mean, I would personally rather see how much demand.
Yeah, I
we
wasn't
have.
necessarily angry.
But yes, we can, and we can also, even within an open school, have certain grades and classes closed. Meaning, like at the high school, you could potentially have the 10th grade open, but not 9th and 11th. The one thing to remember going forward is like, once you, well, in the past, once kids are here, it's very difficult to say that they don't come, so it's a tough one to let people in when we're anticipating growth or whatever, so.
The other unknown that I haven't talked about yet is what are we doing with staffing for the next year, right? So for 2 years, we've held staffing the same, and that's what's driven down class size. And when you drive down class size, your capacity becomes smaller, right? So part of the question is gonna be, obviously with this board, as we start budget process and the new board going through the budget process with the awesome district superintendent. What's that picture gonna look like, right? Are we gonna allow those class sizes to flow down? What do we want that number to be? What's ideal for our schools and our kids and our teachers? And that's gonna have an effect on that number as well, which is not really built into this at this point, because that's the next year's average class size.
Okay. Unless there's any other questions, all those in favor of keeping the district closed next year, please say aye. Aye. Okay, that passes. Next agenda item is the FY 26 school calendar. On board docs, we have the proposal that we discussed last meeting. Lori, we have some public comment?
We have some public
Okay.
comment.
Okay, we have a teacher, Kristen Thomas, sorry, a counselor at Ecker, with a concern that the calendar has fall break at the beginning of October that doesn't align with other districts' fall breaks. She lives in Salt Lake and it's hard for her to have breaks, aligning, with other districts. So that is her comment. You pass that down. Mark Young, PE teacher at Ecker. The October break being early is quite an inconvenience. When their children in other districts have a normal October break. It's his concern. Paige Young, 6th grade at Ecker, math teacher. October break is way too early. And then she also comments that it takes the many teachers have an issue because it doesn't align with other school breaks. So she commented on this. Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the calendar as is listed here. This is just for 25-26 to accommodate Rosh Hashanah. We will start our work on 26-27, which would return the fall break to its normally scheduled time. I would note that most of the calendars in the Wasatch back are not yet set, so there is an opportunity that other districts will follow suit in the front and the back. Okay.
I make a motion to approve the calendar as posted.
Second.
Yeah, me too.
All right, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it last month, right? I mean, it's this feedback. I still would prefer a solution that gave the holy holidays off and had full break at a more aligned Did we actually, sorry, did we talk about another solution, right? Do we have that as well? Or are we just?
I believe it's starting the first day, August 11th instead of the 12th.
Yeah, that is how it can be accommodated.
Yeah, I mean, that was my preference, but.
And PCEA's view was that that was not in favor.
Well, PCA's view was fairly, they saw all perspectives. I think the challenge that we have is adding days. The biggest perspective from teaching and learning is principals come back on first. We have new teachers show up on the 6th currently. That will back them up to the 5th. That'd be, 2 days. It's just every single day before teachers come back is so valuable that one day felt painful. And that's why the calendar committee felt like, hey, pilot this idea for a year. It did, PCA brought back that feedback, but they also had representation on the committee. And it was, what is the best difficult questions? But everyone did, there was strong desire to have Rosh Hashanah hang out or off. There are a lot of calendar years that one of those holidays happen to fall on a weekend, which can, that's why each calendar might need to be considered. But I think as a pilot, we're gonna get a lot of feedback. People are potentially gonna hate it or potentially gonna settle into it. And that would give the board, yourself and our newcomers opportunity to make adjustments from there. There's not a perfect answer right here, but I think the board's commitment to honoring the high holidays is a powerful model. So
I think what I hear is everyone's in favor of doing that. It's just how you want it.
how you want.
Yeah. So that's just the question. This year it's on this potentially earlier fall break, which we don't necessarily know other districts' fall breaks yet.
No, it's just
Some
not
of
the
them have
traditional
not
day,
established.
but
The
it is.
traditional date used to be the UEA.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if it's just way too early and no one else is pushing back fall break and there's other concerns, that can be changed. Right?
For this calendar year.
No, the
future
following
calendar.
years, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can give it a shot.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the calendar as stated, please say aye. Aye. Sure. All right, we have 4 policies for posting.
Everyone else says favor.
We have policy 7030, employee suggestions and complaints, policy 9045, district sponsored academic and athletic travel, policy 9100, recognizing religious freedoms and rights and conscience in schools, and then policy 11001, title I, parent engagement. I will entertain a motion to post all 4 policies.
I make a motion to post all 4 policies.
I second that motion. Okay, do we have any conversation or questions on these 4?
Not right.
Okay, all those in favor of posting, please say aye.
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 Okay. We have 3 policies for adoption. We have policy 2000, student representation on the board, policy 2015, advisory committees, policy 2030, policy development. I'll entertain a motion to approve these 3 policies.
Make a motion to approve these 3 policies.
Okay, Lori, do we have any public comment on those 3?
We have not received it.
Okay, do we have any questions or comments from the board?
No.
Okay, all those in favor of adopting these 3 policies, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. All right. 1 policy to retire. This is statutory. It is policy 3006, guidelines for reducing infectious disease. It's not applied. The district is not interested in that. It is just a procedural retirement from the Utah State Health Department as well as the Summit County Health Department. So I will entertain a motion to retire policy 3006.
I make a motion to retire the policy 3006.
Okay, do we have any questions or discussion here?
Just to add on to what you just said, I think it is important to note this does not signify that we do not care about reducing infectious diseases. And all of the procedures that we follow are actually accessible to the website.
Yes. Our state.
And they are public.
That's a public policy.
Yes.
Perfect.
All those in favor of retiring 3006, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. Let's see here. Are we looking for public comment again on school closure?
More time and a decision in December.
Okay, so we will now take public comment if there is any on the closure of Treasure Mountain Junior High School. Okay, seeing none, we will move on.
I'm sad.
I threw my tongue.
We'll move on to 11.01 reimbursement resolution. The board will consider an adoption of the resolution by the Board of Education declaring its intention to reimburse itself from bond proceeds coming from lease revenue bonds.
So there are three motions that are needed tonight. One is in the school board meeting. The other two will be in the local building authority meeting, which will take place right after this. So I'm gonna read this resolution if that's all right.
Yep, perfect.
And then we'll need a motion to adopt that. So this is for the Park City School District side. A resolution of the Board of Education of Park City School District, Utah, declaring its intention to reimburse itself for expenditures incurred in connection with the construction of land improvements along Kearns Boulevard, which include but are not limited to the construction and or renovation of athletic fields and support buildings and all related improvements with proceeds of bonds that it or its local building authority intends to issue and related matters. So the language is a little different than it has been in the past because the Senate Bill 86 in the last session. So you need a motion to adopt that as the Park City School District Board.
Okay. All right, I will entertain a motion to adopt the language as read by Randy.
I make the motion to adopt the language as read by Randy.
Okay, do we have any questions or comments on that? Okay, all those in favor of adopting that resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Resolution 1 is adopted. Okay, we will temporarily adjourn, or I'll entertain a motion to temporarily adjourn this regular meeting for a convening of the local building authority. All those in favor of adjourning until the convening of the local building authority.
Okay. We should talk about personnel.
What's that?
She said she wanted to talk about personnel.
Okay, we have one more comment from Alicia Gorder
Hi,
on the article in the park record.
yeah, my name is Alicia Border. I live on Balsam Drive and I'm a parent and a taxpayer in the district. I'm also consumer of news, super consumer of news, and I saw the article today. And I found it deeply troubling. Deeply troubling. And I know we can't talk about personnel. It's a very awkward thing to be in a room with people who are aligned. But as a reader and a taxpayer, it was a bit traumatic to see. First of all, the money that we raise in this town is distributed all over the state. So if there were irregularities of any sort, that's a fraud against the entire state of Utah, whether we like that our tax dollars go there or not. I find it distressing that I got here first, mine was the first one listed, and that it was crossed off and I had to walk up and interrupt the meeting. And I apologize for violating those norms, but I wanted to be.
Yeah, so we don't, as a policy, we don't accept comments on personnel.
Okay, I understand. So I'm gonna read something not about personnel that I prepared for tonight. And and I'm gonna direct it to you, Mr. Kaplan, who I've never met before, so it's nice to meet you. And again, this is highly awkward. But I'm gonna address it to you because I believe you're the boss of this operation. And
Yeah,
that all
I'm
things.
the chair of the meeting, but all 5 of us are, have equal representation over
Okay.
matters of board.
Okay, so my concern is, the park record article today was reported by an esteemed journalist, Michelle Deininger, who was the director of news for KPCW, and whose stories I've followed and watched her win awards across the board for the 3 years that I've lived here. I'm a relatively new, a new person here. So I don't feel comfortable with the disparaging of someone who's just doing a job and a service to people like me, who don't come to Board of Ed meetings as a rule. I would also say that it was very distressing at a lot of different levels because it's a really bad thing to waste tax dollars that are so precious in education where everything's to the bone already. I know that our former superintendent is gone, so she can't respond to any of this, and I understand that, but there's quite a messy legacy. And what concerns me to you directly is that I followed from the outside, the defense of her acts and her employment, the defense of everything that she's done. And I've seen you champion her relentlessly. And I even saw you on the Park Record site today disputing and
On
disparaging.
Facebook.
Yeah, on Facebook, yeah. No, of course, it's there. Disparaging again, Michelle Deininger, making allegations about her abilities and about her sincerity. She's a taxpayer in the town as I am as well. She has a child or children in the school.
Yeah, so you know what, I'll say this,
Mhm.
I'm also very, very upset about that article. As is the rest of the board and as is this school district. To go after.
So are you gonna sue her? The reason I ask that is because until
You know what,
you take an action.
I have no comment, but the
Okay.
district will be responding in kind to the Park
So is-
Record for the inaccuracies that were in that
So it's
article.
unclear to me that they're inaccurate because they were.
They are,
information-
and you know what, this is what I'll say. We live in a small community.
Yes.
Welcome, you've been here 3 years.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful. We've been serving this community. You know, Mr. Tanner's been serving this
I'm
community
52
for
years
over
old.
5
I've
years.
lived in and served in other communities.
Okay,
So I
that's wonderful, you know,
respect
that's
you,
wonderful. Here's the
but I
history.
disagree.
Here,
May I
that-
speak?
No,
I thought it was
your
public
time,
comment.
no, your time is over. Thank
No,
you
no,
very
no,
much.
this
Your
is how
time
it
is over.
works. I
It
get
is
3
how it
minutes.
works.
Am I correct about Rob's rules on this?
Yes,
I get 3
and you've
minutes
had
of
your 3 minutes.
uninterrupted discourse.
You've had
And
your
I'd
3
like to
minutes.
take it. So how do you defend this? When will you stop the bleeding and abuse?
Please leave.
How are you not on top of this as board chair? How will you remedy these egregious wrongs that impact, as I said, not only Park City, but the state? And I'm here saying this to you specifically because I don't hide behind a keyboard. I want to know, where are these, when these people retire, are we gonna be on the hook for these super inflated salaries for the next 30 years? And is the whole state gonna be on the hook for that? Because that is wrong. It is fundamentally wrong.
You are out of line, please.
No, I'm
leave.
not.
Your time
This
is
is
over.
my right. but
No,
you
your
keep
time is
interrupting.
over. You have 3 minutes. Your 3 minutes
You
is
can
up.
spend this any way you'd like to, but the facts are out in the open. Managing and overseeing schools should never be a game of cat and mouse. Every parent like me is naturally a huge supporter of you, the people who educate our children and who run our schools. I feel you've abused our good nature and trust by using your position
You are
of power
embarrassing
to
yourself.
allow our fund to be looted.
You
and
are
our
embarrassing
administration
yourself. There is
to
no,
perform at a
please do
consistent
not
and
accuse
subpar
us
level.
of looting
And I'm sad.
public funds.
And I
Please leave.
appreciate having the floor, but I really feel
Please
that
leave.
you needed to hear.
Please leave. Please leave. Thank you.
It's not okay.
All right. Great. Thank you.
And we should be on alert.
Yep, you should be.
Fish things from the head.
Yep, that's great. Thank you.
Scary, right?
Good luck to you. All right, we will now entertain a motion to adjourn to the convening of the local building authority.
I will make a motion to adjourn for the convening of the local building authority.
Second.
All right,
Adjourn.
any, okay, all those in favor, Wendy?
Wendy, aye.
Yeah, Nick, Meredith, yes, and I say yes as well. Okay, we have 2 more resolutions. The board will consider adoption of a resolution, making, or I should say, this is the start of, this is the start of the local building authority meeting.
So just as it's written in the agenda here.
Yeah.
So that's the first resolution that needs to be adopted.
Okay, so the board will consider the adoption of a resolution making the required statement regarding potential issuance of lease revenue bonds and make the following statement. The local building authority of Park City School District, Utah hereby intends to issue a lease revenue bond. The purpose of said bond is to provide funds to A, finance all or portion of the cost of land improvements along Kearns Boulevard, which include but are not limited to the construction and or renovation of athletic fields and support buildings and all related improvements to the project. B, fund any required debt service fund. And C, pay costs associated with the issuance of bonds. The estimated amount of the bond is $38 million. This proposed lease revenue bond commits money from future property tax and income tax revenue allocated to the school district. Additionally, a lease revenue bond generally has higher interest costs than a voter-approved general obligation bond. I will entertain a motion to adopt the statement as written.
I make a motion to adopt the board statement as read.
Second.
Any questions on that? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is adopted. And then we have issuance of lease revenue bonds, decision 15.01. The board will consider the adoption of a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale by the local building authority Park City School District, Utah, for no more than $38 million aggregate principal amount of its lease revenue bond series 2025 and related matters.
I make a motion to consider the adoption of a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of the building authority.
Yeah, do we have any discussion around that? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, that is unanimous.
Now you go back out of the local building authority.
Yeah, so now I will entertain.
Just remind you, you got documents to sign before you leave.
Okay.
Everyone's got to sign.
I will now go around the room. We will adjourn the local building authority with everyone's approval. Wendy,
I make, Wendy Roslin, yes.
Yeah.
Nick, Meredith. Okay, I also agree. That meeting is adjourned. We are going back to the regular board meeting. I will entertain a motion to adjourn the regular board meeting until our next regularly scheduled board meeting, which is December 17th at 4 p.m.
I make the motion to adjourn till our next regularly scheduled board meeting on December 17th.
Second.
Okay, all